So for my topic, I chose conflict and dislocation by student B. I'm looking at example 2 today, so let's get into it. The introduction immediately, it's a brief explanation of what they are looking at, what they're analyzing. The next line is amazing as well. It explains what interested them, what they saw that they got interested in, and then it connects this work by Paul Nash to other works who maybe might be in another sphere of the world, kind of bringing about a connection of different cultural aspects, different cultural analyzations, different views by people. So immediately we see a diverse view. So get the next slide. We've got the notes from the Visual Art Journal by Paul Nash himself. So this is his actual notes. This is his actual readings. This is like stuff that he's written. Next slide, we have a transcript for those because it is a little hard to see what they're saying there. A little hard to understand what they're saying. We've got links here that verify their transcripts, so we're not just going off of their word. We've got a formal response to Paul Nash's "We are making a new world" statement here. That is right here. Yeah, a canvas painting by Paul Nash. We are making a Paul Nash version of Fit for World Artist. Okay. The formal response to Paul Nash's "We are making a new world." The emotional impact of this painting is what first drew me to it in the gallery. Clearly, the artist was working in passionate responses to his feelings about the world, the war. So we see the student understands what the author is going for, understands their motivations, understands what they're trying to do. And then we've got an analyzation of the scene, the disorienting composition that places his viewer slightly above and removed from the scene, almost as if we were ghostly presence floating above the sea of mud. Parallels with the sea are also evident in the wave-like rhythm of the undulating mud. The overlapping shapes are seen as in a simple stage set, one on which the actors are yet to appear. The spaces are filled. Depth is also theatrical. So we've got a pretty detailed explanation. It shows without a doubt that the student knows what they are talking about. They have a clear interpretation and purpose of the function and the work in the study. They've got a very good analysis of the qualities of the picture as well. There's more here that I don't have enough time to read, but you can see just from here the design of it, the strokes, the weight and thickness of the paint. So we've got a clear analyzation and connection that they understand what he's going for. Here, this is also very important. We've got context for Paul Nash's painting, showing where he was born, not where he was born, when he was born, his career prior to his service in the First World War, actually, joining into the First World War, and then seeing his injuries, his recuperation, and then what gave him time to draw these pictures, paint these pictures. So much needed. We've got a analyzation, kind of a response by the student, so to say, about the "We are making a brave new world" statement with 9 million combatants died in the First World War. Very true. So a lot of people have referred to the First World War as the war to end all wars. As you know, that obviously didn't happen. The bitterness of Paul Nash is apparent in his title, which you can see that ragged stumps of sword. It's a very negative connotation, negative description of what's going on. He's very lucky to have survived. If he had not been wounded and sent home, he would have died with the rest of his battalion. He's aware that he was very lucky. He no longer has any respect for authority. He knows that war is only bringing death and destruction. Again, a clear understanding of what the author is going for, clear understanding of their feelings and their interpretations within their works. We've got another piece here by Mona Hatoum, who's a British artist, born in Lebanon of Palestinian origin. So kind of adding that diversity, different birth from Paul Nash. He was born in, doesn't seem to say here, but kind of different culture going on. Her work deals with memory and history subjects that also concern Anselm Kiefer, but she does this through the use of installation. So an understanding of how they portray their work, how they create their work. Again, context for the artist here. This body is an important element in her work. Sometimes it is her own body, sometimes the body of the viewer. Uses metaphors for boundaries such as cages, wire, and especially maps. This is seen in the second work I looked at. Dr. Vivian Jabri states that Hatoem's work as seductive attraction that draws the viewer in. So this is an explanation of the work here, The Hanging Garden. Shows that they understand what the artist is going for. So again, we've got that interpretation of function and purpose. The student clearly understands the function and purpose of the works in the study, involves thematic comparisons to the work of Nash and Hatoem. We've got the thoughts in the gallery here, so I could see it and I can imagine being a soldier behind defenses as I walk up to the sandbags in the gallery. Is very tactile quality. I want to touch the rough hessian of the sacks. They are bulging with the form of the sand. The grass is growing out fresh, bright, green, and delicate. I can imagine the gallery attendants watering it each day as a sense of weight like a wall. So even though I'm not sure if they've been around this piece before in person, but you can see that they don't have to be to be able to be very descriptive with it. So again, it shows an understanding of the piece. Very good. Metaphor for how slight man's imprint is on the landscape of nature. So yeah, you've got a combination of an unnatural creation like sandbags with natural creation like grass. So it's kind of a intersection of the two. So it is a good metaphor, and that's very understandable via the student's explanation. Probably gonna have to start moving a little bit faster here. The cultural context for Mona Hatoem's art, the Arab-Israeli conflict. So even though the pieces by Hatoem I'm looking at, they're not linked to a specific political event, she can see what the author's knowledge of various conflicts going on. So she's not, the student isn't assuming anything, but they are using context clues to understand the knowledge of Hatoem, what her works might relate to. Palestine was formed in 1945. So context for the piece here, we've got a very important country here that obviously has to do significantly with the work. One of the consequences of the civil disputes has been a wall of separation. So my sketch of the cube by Mona Hatoem. So we got our personal work here. Okay. Again, we've got verified information from Wikipedia. I know some people try to say they don't trust it, but hey, it's a verified. So yeah, plenty of information there. Let's get back. All right. Context again, Mona Hatoem. So it shows the materials that she's used. They use sandbags as a metaphor for conflict, that division being sown. See, the student communicates that very well. They suggest boundaries, which is appropriate as she is Palestinian by birth, so she's kind of born in that division. So again, evaluation of the cultural significance, comparisons and connections, maybe not specifically within this piece yet, but we see a connection between the real world and the art that they are making. Hatoem and history and rigidity. Okay, so here we see a direct comparison between the two artists' work. Both artists suggest regeneration and hope. Hatoem through the seeds that sprout in sandbags, Nash in the rising sun. However, in both these signs are weak and perhaps doomed omens as seedings. Okay, so the titles in both work resonate with meaning. Hatoem is referred to the ancient wonders of the world. Again, we have a verified source explaining this. So we see making connections to, okay, yeah, so we've got own art making practice. So we've seen some of her pieces being used here. I haven't seen a connection yet, but we're about to see that in a second. Subject specific language, yes. The special art context of a modern gallery space transformed the sandbags into an art piece by putting them into the special space of an art gallery. This is similar to this artist here with his earth room. So connection to other pieces as well. American specifically, you know, that American Palestinian tie, showing the two different artists from different backgrounds, but showing their works and how they are similar. Here's another work of hers. We've got a good description here, good use of connotations. Another work here by Fiona Banner. So purchasing of 2 different military aircrafts, which is wow, that's impressive dedication to the work. Got a good description here of both of them. Display of the objectiveness that the student is speaking of. So here's the conclusion. How do these artists use metaphors? So in evaluating these artists, I've seen how some of the ideas of math and of modern artists are, even though they are working in completely different cultures, they all use metaphor to suggest the wider issues involved in war. They transform physical items like paint, sand, steel, and even a real plane to create cultural meanings. An understanding of all these authors' works and tying them together into a really good interpretation. Again, here's more ideas, more notes. We got more transcriptions here. This is really good. Another visual interpretation with a transcript for it. Pictures and information taken from there, so a source that they have to verify it. Again, here's another piece of the Shadows of War. These are also sculptures made from real items to portray an image. We have an understanding of the scenery here. Using the items here, they explain how it's been created. We've got the Shadow of War. The planes were model World War II planes, which I assembled and spray painted with red paint. Painting the planes served a dual purpose of unifying them within the piece and representing a sense of conflict and danger the machines embody through the conflict of the paint. Red symbolizes armed conflict, bloodshed, and brutality. Okay, so this is their own work, and they're connecting it to these other artists' work, which is really good. Another one, while photographing the structure, I was pleased to find that the one shining dual light sources at the piece multiple shadows are cast. Just as shining a light has the consequence of creating shadows, war creates its own metaphorical shadows in both the minds and the victim of war surrounding. Okay, again, explaining their processes and relating it to the other artist's piece. And then here's their sources, which is really good. They have a variety of sources. You see that they're not all, I know this isn't particularly important, they're all from like similar domains or similar websites. Overall, this piece is really good. Just to go over the checklist one more time. I know I'm running 2 minutes kind of late on this project, so I need to wrap this up. We have an analysis of formal qualities. It falls into the 5 to 6 mark band, which I can definitely see. Interpretation of function and purpose. We've seen that multiple times. They don't leave anything out. They give firsthand accounts of these viewing works from these 2 artists. There's an evaluation of the cultural significance. There are plenty of comparisons and connections made. We have a presentation with very good language, and then making connections to own art making practice, which we saw in the end there. That was really detailed, and I do not doubt that this project deserved the score that it got. This is my project. This ran 3 minutes over. I'm really sorry, Mr. Rowe. So this is it.